Yar me hearties, this be Jay, aka MultimediaJay, coming at you from Jay's Geek House at 3:20 in the morning. While the normal people are sleeping, me hearties, we be talking about technology and... That's stupid. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay, and yeah, this is the kind of stream that I would normally do when we had, like, overtime or something and just no time whatsoever to, they'll come home and... It's just, this is exactly the kind of stream that I don't want to do. So you folks can very easily deduce then that something big has obviously happened that made me want to do this, because this is probably the worst thing that I could possibly do on this channel is stream at like 3 something in the morning so that only the EU folks can even see any of this live, or people that are staying up super late like Mr. Dan over there. What is up, Dan? Not going to do too much with the chat tonight because, I mean, I think most of what's going to come in the chat is people saying hell yeah anyways with this discussion about this whole Newegg fiasco and all this other stuff that's been going on. We might get some more spam, in which case we'll deal with it. But yeah, so here's where we keep it $1.50, as some folks would say. So the reason why I'm doing this at the time that I'm doing this, even though I'm pretty tired, I should probably just go to bed or work on some videos or something like that. I do have tech videos to work on, and I have stuff coming in that's going to sit in the box if I don't fire up the video editor and actually do this. I would not be doing any streaming whatsoever right now, but were it not for this Newegg nonsense that's going on. It's about time I chimed in on it. I'll come back and chime in on this on the weekend for folks that are up during the day. We can revisit some of this maybe on a Friday evening or something. But as it stands, this situation is something that I'm absolutely not going to let slide. And I'm going to opine on it big time. So first order of business. Let's clear up. Let's do a little bit of recap on a couple of things related to the tech stuff that's going on around the Geek House, as I have 2 HDMI cables over here, which I got to find something to do with. So it's so first off, first order of business, my internet has been upgraded. I think the new entry-level tier is going to be 200 down, 20 up. So basically, that means I can now stream YouTube. When I'm doing the 60 FPS gaming streams, I'm going to stream YouTube at 12,000 for a bit rate. So now there's a big difference in bit rate between YouTube and Twitch again, because I'm going to stream YouTube at 12 grand. That's the NVIDIA recommended bit rate for the NVENC encoder at 1080p 60. I dropped down to 9 grand for a while because of having to drop down to 110 for an internet speed. But now that the Bozo entry level internet is 220, I have more than enough upload bandwidth for pretty much everything I want to do. The big thing is keeping an eye on the price. There's no reason for me to buy a higher tier of internet for what it is that I'm doing. I know, right? The ISP is going to hate me. I'm one of those people that only wants to buy what I actually need. So that'll probably show up if that makes any difference with the way YouTube's encoders are. That will show up in the gaming streams when I get back to ESO or some other game, maybe if I play some Madden or something like that. I do have it now, by the way. I picked it up during the Super Bowl sale last weekend. I almost never play sports games because a lot of sports games nowadays are basically made for people that are really, really into sports. So I'm just not into sports as enough to really... Most of the time when I play like an EA sports game or something, I put it in computer versus computer and watch it like it's a game on television. Because I grew up with Tecmo Bowl and Tecmo Super Bowl and Blades of Steel and Baseball Simulator 1000. Oh, look, someone with synchronous internet. Yeah, rub it in, buddy. I'm stuck in cable country until DOCSIS 4 comes out. Then I'll go buy another modem. But when I fire up a sports game, I grew up with NES, SNES, etc., games that were more like video games than the actual sport. So today's games where it's like there's an announcer and crowd noise, I'll just watch it like I'm watching something for real and whatnot on TV or something like that. Speaking of TVs, this stream is being done with the new TV. But I have a tech video that's going to show the new TV upgrade and installation. So any discussion about the new TV is completely and totally NDA. I will not be talking about it in this stream, and I will blow you off if you bring it up in the chat. So, needless to say, it's taking some getting used to with all the new stuff that has come out since 2008. It's my first ever smart TV, and, well, it's a whole nother story as to why I picked the Samsung that I succeeded my old worn out Samsung with, by the way, I could still fix it. I think it's just a couple of capacitors that need to be resoldered or to be replaced in the power supply or the inverter board. Well, but I don't want to have my TV out of commission while I'm popping it open trying to fix it. Plus, more power efficient. The new one's more power efficient. Anyways. All right, but that's not what we're here to talk about tonight. What we're here to talk about is the Newegg Fiasco. Let me just say this. The TLDR version of this, or as one older fellow I used to work for would say, the CNN headline version of this whole story is this. I think GamersNexus is getting played by Newegg. I think this is going to be typical corporate PR. When GamersNexus goes and has that little meeting with we already know it's going to be a PR person. They are going to have a script that they're going to have to stick to because it's their job. They're going to stick to the script. They're going to avoid any semblance of accountability. So they'll say they're going to get better, but they will not give any timetables or anything concrete. They will keep things purposefully vague, like companies often do. And GamersNexus will milk the whole thing for views. That's it. The problem is, and this is something I mentioned on Twitter, when I was going off to college, my choices were to go for a computer science degree or a computer information systems degree if I wanted formal credentials with doing stuff with computers. I ultimately went computer information systems, which is more of a business degree. Nowadays, the major has been split into data science and IT hardware at my alma mater. But computer information systems was the proto of all of that, combining together some hardware, some software, some analytics, some system design, and of course, a whole cadre of business classes to go along with the tech stuff. So yeah, the only language I ever really got into was Visual Basic. Could probably learn some C or Java or something if I really wanted to. I just don't really have any use for coding right now, although I'd certainly have the programmer's mentality with how I troubleshoot stuff. But the thing is, I've always wondered where the value was in the business side of my degree back when I was that age. I was always wondering back in college what I would do with the business side. Well, the business part of the degree has been a lot more useful than the computer side has been. Today, people use mobile devices, smart TVs, IoT, Internet of Things type stuff. There's things like personal area networks, as some would call when you have everything through Bluetooth or something. You have all these things out there nowadays, and traditional computers have kind of morphed into something else. And even in the enterprise with corporate IT, the computers that companies are using are basically appliances. So it's more about managing costs and overhead and stuff like that, and not incurring the costs of downtime and stuff along those lines. So the business side of what I went to school for has been insanely useful. And it is that background, as well as years of experience dealing with large companies in corporate America, that are the reason why I'm saying that GamersNexus is going to get taken advantage of in terms of they're going to sound like they're going to do something, but really, all you have to do to know where Newegg's mind is on this matter is look at how long it took them to respond. What happened with GamersNexus is a symptom, not the problem. So let me just tell you a little something about Newegg. The Newegg that we knew and loved in the 2000s stopped being a thing when they started getting majority owned by people other than the people that built the company about the middle of the last decade or so. There was some company that bought a majority stake in the company, so they had the majority of the ownership, so they could basically, dictate how things ran. Then, of course, there's another company that now owns them, and they were taken public with an IPO. So the Newegg that we have today is not the Newegg we fell in love with in the 2000s. The only way that Newegg can stick to its guns is if Newegg wants to stick to its guns. That's the only way that's going to work. Newegg, only Newegg can decide to stick to their guns as being a great, reliable place to buy computer parts and get good customer service. That's it. So, but here's the thing. After they were taken public middle of last year, and when some of the new ownership started buying the company and stuff, things like that, you dig around, before all this GamersNexus stuff happened, and this is a bad thing about GamersNexus blowing the lid on this, because now everybody's talking GamersNexus, Linus Media, UFD Tech, all these people out there have chimed in on the situation that the old search results for Newegg's declining quality and Newegg's declining customer service are now getting buried because this scandal is taking over basically the way people view Newegg and the way the search results work. So because of these changes, it's going to be very easy to forget Newegg was already getting called out for deteriorating customer service even before the fiasco with GamersNexus. So it's one of the reasons why a lot of my tech purchases of the last year or so have come from Amazon, and I haven't done actually, I think I only bought a few things. If I look at my, I don't have it handy. You see, phone's in the other room because I'm an older millennial and I don't have it with me everywhere I go. But I could open up my email, my personal email, and look at the purchases and stuff and use the search box to check out, what I was buying and stuff like that. I could also log into Newegg.com if I really wanted to and look at my purchase history, but my Newegg purchases have been few and far between, and I'm doing more stuff with Amazon. It's gotten to the point where I may showroom something on Newegg just to get an idea of what I'm looking for, then head over to Amazon to get it. Because I have Amazon Prime nowadays. So the big thing is staying away from seedy third-party sellers and stuff like that. But Newegg has the better way of browsing products. But if it's funny because we talk about showrooming. This used to be a problem with brick and mortar dinosaurs back in the 2000s. The Best Buys of the world and stuff like that. People would go into a brick and mortar store and they check out the product, then they go home and buy it online. With smartphones, that step is eliminated. You can now go into a store, check something out, and then buy it on your phone from somewhere else. And if you really want to be a slime ball about it, you'll mooch the Wi-Fi of the store that you're visiting in order to do so. So the way this works nowadays in today's lovely little smartphone world is I'll go into Best Buy. If this worked the way it did back then, I'd go into Best Buy, look at a TV I want to get, or look at a computer I want to get or something. Go into Best Buy and then jump on the Best Buy Wi-Fi and buy it on Newegg or something right there in the store, and then pick up like some $10 thing so that the store thinks I bought something when in reality I'm getting the big ticket item from Newegg. Ah, yes, the wonderful world we live in, folks. The wonderful world we live in. But, it's funny because originally the Newegg folks, myself included, were making fun of Best Buy. Best Buy was out of touch. They were the old store. I got extra remotes now because of this TV setup. My universal remote is kind of obsolete because of this. But yeah, so it used to be the thing where you'd go into Best Buy and then you would showroom Best Buy to buy something on the internet. Well, now I think we're in a world where you'll showroom on Newegg and then you'll buy from somewhere else because you're ticked off at them and you don't want to take the risk of having a bad experience with their customer service. There is something in play here, though, when it comes to business, and that is this. If you don't have trust, you don't have a team, you don't have a functional job, you don't have anything. You cannot go anywhere you can't trust people. Because, if you have to be constantly looking over your shoulder at a job, for example, you're probably not going to do the job as well because you're going to be worried about stuff happening to you. And then there's Newegg, just if I can't have somebody working for me that I can't trust, or I can't have someone as a friend or, a romantic lover or something like that I can't trust, if I can't be in a relationship with somebody without there being trust issues and I feel like need to get out of there, why would we put up with this when we're spending like $700,000, $800,000 maybe on computer stuff? Why would we do this with Newegg? Why? No, just don't give Newegg a free pass on this. Keep in mind, the company that exists today is not the company we liked back in the 2000s and part of the 2010s. New ownership, new folks calling the shots, etc. But the thing with GamersNexus is in the world of business, you look for KPIs. So when GamersNexus has that meeting with that PR stunt person, or I might as well call it the PR stunt double. So when GamersNexus has that little meeting, then there needs to be a timetable. There needs to be accountability. There needs to be the Newegg folks need to commit to something with tangible results within a certain time period. It cannot just be, we're going to look into it, we're going to do better, we're going to regain your trust. Because actions speak louder than words. Look at the timetable of all of this. Before all of this GamersNexus crap happened, Newegg was already known for declining customer service, and that by itself was enough to get me to start going somewhere else for upgrades and computer parts. That by itself. Newegg is not my first choice, and if they want to, play games like this, they don't have to be my choice at all. And I'll even be as brazen as to showroom them, go find their stuff on Newegg, and then go buy something else, then go buy it somewhere else. It's the way it is. This is not the Newegg that we knew, etc. And here's why this is such a big issue. Customer service problems are antithetical to Newegg's brand. The reason why people like me shopped at Newegg was because of the service. The reason why people like me helped grow the company, because word of mouth, free advertising, was because of the customer service. The reason why I have 2 computers with Newegg case badges on them from the 2000s, early and mid 2000s respectively, is because of customer service. The idea of Newegg having bad customer service should not exist in this universe. It shouldn't even be a thing. It's like if McDonald's forgot how to cook a burger. No, seriously. It's like if McDonald's couldn't cook burgers. Newegg is what it is because of customer service. That's it. They didn't try to be the cheapest. They didn't try to be the fastest. There was a time when Newegg shipping was slower than a lot of other folks, so they expanded their fulfillment centers. Newegg has not won on any other category except for service. They eventually lost on shipping costs. They've lost on everything else, but service and their dependability is a lot of the reasons why folks like myself went back, even if it costs more. Let me, since we have Zoomers now building computers who are just plain too young to remember what it was like trying to buy computer parts on the internet in the 2000s, let me give you folks a little bit of a history lesson here. But before we do that, let's actually put on this, let's minimize our live control room here, and let's fire up the browser into browser mode, link the web browser to my Twitter. Here is the reason Newegg responded, and the reason why I'm one of the reasons anyways, why I'm cynical of GamersNexus and think his meeting isn't going to go anywhere. Number one, because companies will try and get out of a concrete timetable for accountability. Number two, because, well, nonverbal communication. The real reason Newegg finally responded, it wasn't GamersNexus, it was the reverberating effects across the YouTube tech scene. Linus Tech Tips talking about it. It's a thing on the WAN show multiple times, and now he's taking the clips, putting them on LMG clips, Other tech YouTubers, UFD Tech had a story. Other tech YouTubers are out there telling their stories about the bad experiences they've had with Newegg, or chiming in on this one, and eventually it started to interfere with search engine traffic. Here's Google search results for Newegg. Google News specifically, where you'll find like the most up-to-date stuff on the business. Look what it's peppered with. No questions asked returns on CPUs and motherboards after YouTube scandal. Has a scandal on its hands. Apologized for a well-documented customer service fail. Says it has enacted better policies. Customer service failings promises change. YouTubers expose Newegg causing a returns policy change. Here's something that's kind of a pseudo ad from an Antec. Newegg apologizes for reselling faulty open box item. Newegg promises hassle-free open box CPU and mobile returns after selling damaged gear. So there's other stuff going on too. Newegg is deleting comments on their videos. They're also hiding replies on tweets. They're hiding replies on tweets as well. But you can make a query for literally any of Newegg's tweets to view the hidden replies and then pass that around. Newegg of all companies, I'm surprised I have to have this conversation regarding Newegg. But Newegg, Twitter is so incredibly searchable. Twitter is so insanely searchable that you can just let's see. They only have one response or someone posted a video about Newegg trying to bribe them and stuff. Let's see. Let me click on some of their stuff here. No hidden responses there. But you can actually do an easy Twitter query let's see, ABS. You can very easily do a Twitter query to see if someone's hiding responses. So let's see. Really cute. Congrats to today's winners. Valentine's thingies. They're posting a lot of stuff. First off, if you look at it on PC, you're going to get the little icon that shows their hidden replies. And just click that to view hidden replies. It looks like they're unhiding the replies now once they got called out on it. So again, are they really sorry, or are they just sorry they got caught? Are they sorry they're getting dragged through the mud? No, look, Newegg has had plenty of time to do the right thing. They haven't. Discussion over. Then you got GamersNexus over here. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, oh yeah, don't be too hard on them. No. It's called candor. It's a thing in business. If a business has screwed up and fundamentally walked away from what it is and what built it up, it is perfectly honest and upfront to say that this business has completely screwed up and walked away from everything that built it up into what it is. The fact that Newegg has any customer service, any reputation for bad customer service means somebody on the senior leadership team needs to be fired. Full stop. Somebody on that team should be treated as a saboteur of the company and shown the door. There is at least one person on that team that does not belong at Newegg. Wow, you're getting all Donald Trumpy again, always saying people should be fired. They should. Part of business is having the right people on the team and not having the wrong people on the team. There is at least one wrong person at Newegg, because Newegg, a company that's built off of customer service when selling computer hardware, is no longer dependable. And what about the timetable, too? They opened in the early 2000s. Now, 20 years later, in the early 2020s, here we are. All right, let me get to that history lesson that I was going to talk about 10 minutes ago or whatever it was. Let me show you folks how the more things change, the more they stay the same. And, there is nothing new under the sun. That which has been, is now, and shall be, blah, blah, blah. History freaking repeats itself. It's just Newegg found itself on the wrong side of history. Let me fire up Chrome again. Let me look up one thing. Back about 20 years ago, when I was first getting into computer hardware, the short version, see if this domain even is in use. Watch if I get malware. Oh no, it's taking forever to load. This could be a malware site. Nope, never mind. Not gonna wait and see what loads. I guess it's no longer in operation. Good. Yeah, I figured the website was dead. So here's the thing. 20 years ago, I was just getting into computer hardware. The short version of the story is that the computer that was supposed to get me through college didn't. The HP Pavilion that I had in college that was supposed to get me through 4 years of college started having power supply problems in 2002. And so I was on the phone. I'm not going to go to the internet. This is an aggregator site. I'm not going to go to the Internet Archive for this. It's just kind of it's a historical thing at this point. There is no modern version of it. Matter of fact, I think it probably got replaced by Google Shopping. I'm talking about PriceWatch.com back about 20 years ago, which gave you looked up a product and gave you everybody's prices on it. Google Shopping pretty much does that nowadays. And any other like shopping app and stuff. So about 20 years ago, I was first getting computer hardware is because the computer that was supposed to get me through college didn't. And we're talking beginning of the 2000s, so 90s-ish computer prices where every computer was over $1,000 for the most part was still in play, unless you bought a cheapo e-machine, of course. So the computer that was supposed to get me through college was pricey. It came out to just shy of $2,000. About $1,700 for the system. And then we spent a couple $100 to bring it up to around $2,000 on a Best Buy Proto Geek Squad service plan because we had a store about less than a half an hour from the college. No Best Buys around here, of course. It's not really built up around here. We're too far out in the woods. But my alma mater had a Best Buy within an easy drive. So they were selling service plans for people that went specifically to my school. Kind of a proto geek squad. Pay a chunk of money when you buy a computer, and if anything went wrong with it, they would send one of their techs out to your college to fix it for you. on-site, like, Geek Squad-y types, not even Geek Squad, like, think like Nerds on Site, where people drive around and do on-site tech support in people's houses. I don't know if I think Geek Squad did that too. It's one of the reasons how they fought back when places like Nerds on Site came out and stuff like that. It was a prototype of the Geek Squad, basically. If something went wrong with your computer, then why is my start menu stuck open? If something went wrong with your computer, they would send a tech out to the college to actually visit you in your dorm room and fix it. So I invoked the service plan, got the runaround. They did everything they could. They did everything they could to blame me for it. They blew me off, gave me a song and a dance, sent me on phone tag with like 3 different numbers, all of which told me it was someone else's job. A complete customer service runaround. Needless to say, they never did squat. So I took matters into my own hands. I picked up, there was a copy of Scott Miller's Upgrading and Repairing PCs in the college bookstore. Or maybe I bought it online, I don't know. But I got a copy of that big, thick book about yay thick and learned about computer hardware. And subsequently ruined the challenge in a PC hardware course I would take a year later in 2003. So I learned PC hardware because Best Buy blew me off. My background historically has been presentation stuff, programming, the flashier side of technology, obviously with the MultimediaJay thing, which has been a thing since 2004. I brought it to YouTube in 2006, but I've been MultimediaJay for decades at this point. But yeah, so the Best Buy blew me off. I got into computer hardware. And so part of that was when I went to build my first system, figuring out Newegg or who else to buy stuff from. Let me tell you a little something about the world of buying computer parts online in the early 2000s. There were websites. Let me see if these still exist. They probably do. Let's see. I'm probably going to give myself malware if any of these sites are dead and some malicious person bought it. Oh, it's still around. Woohoo! There were sites like resellerratings.com. Let's see if the ripoff report is still there. Yes, it's still there. Oh, okay, good. And I just have a thing for if you're European, you have the GDPR, So yeah, there were sites back then, and it looks like those two are still around, like reseller ratings and ripoffreport.com. There were sites like that because you needed it, because number one, there were big established companies like Best Buy that were known for being horrible at e-tail. And then of course in the store, there was screwball stuff going on with Best Buy stores trying to meet their sales goals, such as, and this is the wildest story I heard over on Reseller Ratings, a kid in a blue shirt working at Best Buy was talking to a little old lady about CD burning software while holding a box copy of Norton's System Works utility software, antivirus. Oh yeah, the CD burning software. Yeah. So Best Buy already had service problems going. So there were established players out there with service problems. And then in the world of e-tail, there were e-tailers popping up that had service problems too. One of whom was an e-tailer operating out of Ohio who sold me a defective sound card. And then I found out the hard way through Reseller Ratings that they had a bad reputation for ripping people off. I managed to get my money back and then buy an Audigy on Newegg a week or two later. So I was one of the lucky ones who was actually able to get a refund from those folks after they gave me the runaround. But in the 2000s, basically when you wanted something, you would go looking on pricewatch.com back then. Obviously, it looks like the domain's dead now, so rest in peace. Google Shopping does the same thing nowadays. But before Google decided to be like the clingy girlfriend who always wants to be there no matter what it is that you're doing, and are you okay? Are you okay? Do you still love me? Da, da, da. So before Google went into their clingy girlfriend phase, you had pricewatch.com, and you would go on there and you'd find, you compare prices and stuff, and oftentimes the cheapest price would have issues related to it, like customer service issues. A lot of companies back then were doing e-tailers and stuff. Let me rattle a few Newegg competitors off the top of my head. How many of these are still around? I don't know. Why don't we just check? Oh, no, let's check it. Let's check it and hope I don't get a virus from visiting a long dead domain. mwave.com, I probably have to Multi-Wave Direct. I think that business Multi-Wave Digital Solutions. Let's see. Oh, that's a telecommunications company. Yeah, MWave. MWave.com. I don't think they're still in business. Took too long to respond. HTTP error. Tiger Direct was one of them. What about Directron.com? They actually had a RAM tutorial and stuff. Oh, they're still there. They still exist. Or maybe they're a zombie brand. I don't know. Many items are shipped within 8 business hours after ordering. So Directron is still around. Sweet. Yeah, so NCIX, of course, went out of business. But Directron actually is still around. They actually had a tutorial about buying power supplies by the pound, meaning buy a heavier power supply, because unless they did some screwball thing like put a metal plate in there, they probably use beefier components, could deliver better power instead of... It's like the idiots in electronic shops who use wire that's too thin to wire up a project and wonder why it doesn't work, because the cable can't carry. Higher quality components tend to weigh more in electronics, so unless you have some idiot putting a metal plate in a power supply, your better power supplies are probably going to be heavier than the cheapos. So you had Newegg, you had MWave, you had Newegg, you had MWave, you had Directron, Tiger Direct, of course, NCIX up in Canada, though I think they came later. So, and then there was a whole bunch of little places selling computer parts that had questionable customer service. So, of course, I already shared the story about when I first got out of college, I went to go work in a computer shop. And the guy, when he found out I was looking for a job, all but ran me out of the store because I liked AMD processors back then. So this is back pre-Conroe, before the Core 2 Duo took back the crown for Intel for years and years and years, when AMD was routinely faster than an Intel of the same speed. So the last time that AMD did a good job with stuff before Ryzen came out. Some guy ran me out of the store. And of course, nowadays he's an emotional windbag, and he posts like anti-vax crap on public social media chat rooms and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, glad I didn't wind up working for him. And he had a scandal where he wasn't paying his assistant properly. So his assistant goes off, starts a store, and cripples the business because he was doing like contractor stuff for IT, while his assistant was running the retail store. And so he winds up having to either shut his store down or walk away from his obligations for the project he was working on. It's just a mess. But so yeah, that's the thing. It's a lot of small businesses have been who got in on that whole fad. Until they lost to Newegg, of course, they tried to do business, and they would have problems with rip-offs and stuff. And they were big established businesses that were having service problems too. So, excuse me, MWave. I thought I saw MWave still around. Let's see. Let me see if I can do like MWave computer parts. See if I can get some kind of... Yeah. Oh, there's an Australian. Oh. You're checking your browser. Oh, I'm getting DDoS inspected in case, make sure I'm not DDoSing the site. Yes, click everything that has a boat. No, I'm not going to DDoS your website, MWave. Looks like they're still active in Australia. They are. Australia's largest online tech retailer, MWave.com, is in Australia now. G'day, mate. Look at this. MWave is in I'm guessing, is there still a U.S. division? MWave Australia, all rights reserved. Okay, so there's an MWave in Australia. What's MWave.com nowadays? All right, so MWave is still a thing in Australia. Yeah, so MWave was MWave was the other place you got all your stuff from. Back when they, I don't know if they still even have an American division, or did Newegg just gobble up all that business. But there's a guy I went to school with, and he was the guy that made fun of he was the nerd that made fun of my computer. Ha ha, HP. I'm like, wow, grow up. So, the guy that made fun of my computer during the Summer of the Geek, which, again, 2022, 20 years later, we're talking about Newegg having all these problems 20 years after I first became a customer there, in late 2002. Newegg opened in 2001. I became a fan of theirs and a customer of theirs in 2002 with building a Silver Bullet. 20 years later, they're known for bad customer service. Somebody in charge needs to go. What's next? Am I going to hear about McDonald's being terrible at cooking burgers like I mentioned earlier? But anyways, yeah, M-Wave and Newegg. M-Wave and Newegg. Guy who made fun of my computer. He went to build a system during the Summer of the Geek. I didn't, because I was just toughing it out with my computer restarting all by itself, making plans. And when it got when it got bad enough that I wanted to push the button on those, then I would build the Silver Bullet for the first time. So we had all of this going on. He bought most of his systems from M-Wave and then a couple of parts from Newegg. When it was my turn, I decided to be more of a Newegg fan because I wasn't a big fan of, he made fun of my computer and we didn't totally get along. We're kind of different. We were pretty much different kinds of people, even though we're both into computers. So I build my system. The motherboard is assembled by M-Wave because this is from 2000. This is from the AMD Athlon XP era when there were no heat spreaders in the chips. It was just a raw die. People were cracking dies trying to put heat sinks on those things if they didn't keep them straight. I didn't want to risk that happening with an Athlon XP processor on the computer that was supposed to finish getting me through college because the one that was originally supposed to didn't. So, and of course, processors advanced beyond the cartridge processing days back then. But I wound up having the motherboard and the guts assembled by M-Wave, and then everything else came from Newegg. So, guy I went to school with, he bought most from M-Wave, little bit from Newegg. In my case, most from Newegg, little bit from M-Wave. But dodging customer service issues is something that was a thing back then. And so, what led to me no longer using Price Watch the way I did to buy tech stuff in those days was Newegg and their reputation for good customer service, good shipping, etc. Maybe UPS might ding the box. So, but they had a sweetheart deal with FedEx at the time. FedEx took better care of the boxes back then. Today, I mean, I used to jokingly call UPS the United Package Smashers, because anytime I ordered something, I could tell if it was shipped UPS because the box would always be dinged. Didn't bode well when you're trying to buy hard drives and stuff. There was actually a time when I didn't trust retailers with hard drives, and I actually went to Staples for those because Staples stores were actually selling Seagate retail kits. So for like DIY and stuff, it's kind of like Easy Tech or something. But Seagate Barracuda, decent Seagate drive, retail box, don't have to worry about UPS playing kickball with it. Stuff like that. Decent price too. Oh, the days of hard drives, let me tell you. But yeah, so Newegg, the reason why I'm so disgusted with this is because Newegg is what it is because of customer service. People like myself were fans of Newegg because of the customer service and the reputation that they built for themselves based on customer service. Newegg was known to me as the folks that I bought computer parts from, where they would often surprise me with deliveries a day earlier than what the original prognosticated, so to speak, predicted delivery date that their website said that I would receive the stuff by. There have been times when I've gone to go out to work on the day before a Newegg package was supposed to arrive and tripped over the box on my porch. Because I used to work day shift back then. It was a little dark and I didn't want to leave the light on all day. So there would be days when I trip over a Newegg box that arrived late the following evening. I was like, whoa, this got here early. I'm glad no one stole it. So yeah, Newegg has done lots of good things over the years, and that's why we talked about the TV thing earlier, though we're not going to talk about it because I have some tech videos to do about that stuff. The TV thing. When I first bought the Samsung in 2008, that came from Newegg. So and the way that worked was Newegg had a reputation. And they were doing better than a lot of e-tailers at the time. This is before Amazon Prime and all that other stuff. Newegg had a reputation. So once Newegg had a good enough reputation that I was buying all my computer stuff from them when they went to expansion categories before the marketplace, of course. when they went to expansion categories like selling regular electronics, TVs, etc., before they did the marketplace, of course, where it's kind of like third-party sellers, like mini Amazon, like what they have today, I would actually, be willing to buy stuff other than computer stuff from them because the reputation when they were selling only computer stuff. So customer service pays dividends. Reputation pays dividends, even if you don't compete on price. Having a fan base more so than a customer base who would wear company gear even though they don't work for the company. I've had Newegg hats, I've had Newegg pens, I have Newegg case badges on 2 of my systems. I have all this Newegg stuff because Newegg was like my business inspiration at a time when e-tail was kind of ho-hum as the world adjusted to buying more things online. Newegg was the trailblazer in going out of their way to get customers so excited about shopping on their website that they would spread word about the company through word of mouth. And then they brought that whole thing full circle with the Take It From a Geek campaign. 2009, 2010. I might still have some of those old commercials in my my classic YouTube playlist. Newegg has been going around cleaning up old videos by putting them as unlisted. So some older Newegg videos from 2009, 2010, 2011, or the era of Paul and Joanne and stuff like that are actually unlisted nowadays. But I think I might have some of them still visible in the classic YouTube playlist, and now I'm glad I added them when I did. So don't know if they'll delete them or not, but if they do, well, that loses a piece of tech history, so hopefully they don't do that. Leave it around for us old people to reminisce on the good old days of the 2010s-ish. 2000s and 2010s. So, well, yeah, it's just... I have been as passionate as I've been about Newegg over the years because of the reputation they built due to customer service. A Newegg with bad customer service doesn't deserve to exist. It's just, like I said, it's like McDonald's forgetting how to cook a hamburger. Service is what built the brand. Service is what built the brand. Service is what kept me going back to them over and over again, even as Amazon built up the Amazon Prime infrastructure that they have today. Service is why I went. Now, B&H Photo Video Pro Audio out of New York City has some tech stuff as well, but they're more of a camera store, so they're not going to have everything. They have a limited selection of tech stuff. What I will say is this, and this is something the Newegg folks need to be very concerned about. We know that Newegg, the way it existed before, works. The Newegg as we knew it before was a company with a reputation for service and computer parts. Not whatever you want to call this mess today with the graphics card lotteries and service issues. We know that Newegg works. We know that Newegg as we knew it should exist. The question is, who picks up the torch if Newegg wants to keep going off on this tangent of theirs? Who's gonna pick up the slack? Because there's obviously demand for somebody like old school Newegg here. Who is going to pick up where Newegg left off? Here's a crazy idea. Linus was floating the idea of having a Linus Tech Tips type computer hardware distributor or whatever with higher prices but incredible service for the people that like to have some kind of Newegg thing or something. Here's a crazy idea. Imagine if big tech YouTubers teamed up with financiers who are really into technology and tried to do a hostile takeover of Newegg so that Newegg can be owned by the very people who've enjoyed being its customers all these years. It's a thing in corporate America, especially publicly traded companies. Buy out Newegg, raise the capital to buy out Newegg, take it private, and force it to return to its roots. It's going to take a crap ton of money to make that happen. But it's just what's working, what exists right now, we might as well call it Nino. Newegg in name only. It's not what made them successful. It's not what built them up. The Newegg that people rumble about on the internet for months, and then a big YouTuber now joins the rumbling, and suddenly they kind of perk up, And then it goes to more big YouTubers and Linus Tech Tips and elsewhere all around the YouTube techosphere. And then it goes into the search results, the media, the whole 9 yards. When it becomes a media firestorm, then they finally put out a statement and try to damage control the situation. Too little, too late. But we know from people who've been chiming in on this whole Newegg thing and how they are behaving on Twitter and other places too, that a business like the Newegg we like should exist. The question is, who's it going to be? Who's gonna pick up where they left off if they won't do it? So, who's going to be? I mean, there needs to be a Newegg somewhere. Amazon has a lot of the same problems they had because their system is generic. It's not as tech-focused as, say, using the left columns on Newegg to find stuff. And for Pete's sake, Newegg has an incredible site design nowadays. Especially throw that sucker into dark mode. It's great that, they work on the veneer of their business, but now they got to work on the substance of it. Until they actually get, until they actually patch up their reputation. I got light mode on here. Hold on, no, I don't want to sign in. I got light mode on here. Dark mode on Newegg is incredible looking. And it's just sad that this incredible looking Newegg needs to be the veneer for a company that built itself on great customer service that's now having customer service problems. How does that even happen? And I could repeat myself ad nauseum until the sun comes up and all the day shift people get up and start milling about out there. But again, this is a company that this is a brand, not just a company. Newegg is a brand that built itself off of customer service, and now they're having customer service problems. Of course I'm disappointed. Of course I'm disgusted. Of course I'm feeling like I've been flat out betrayed. I've watched this company grow into what it is. They opened in 2001. I placed my first order with them in 2002. And we're now coming up on 20 years since the Summer of the Geek. 20 years since I built the Silver Bullet. Right in time for 20 years since I first seriously got into PC hardware, Newegg is known for customer service problems. It's unacceptable. Somebody needs to be fired. And it needs to be public. They need to say, oh, well, I've decided to resign, or we've decided to part ways with some people, blah, 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 blah. There needs to be somebody no longer working at Newegg because of this. It is a betrayal of the company and what built it up into what it is. How many more businesses are we going to have to see not stick to their guns? YouTube, focusing on the individual. Then corporations start messing with everything until they get big enough that they can build their own content delivery networks and don't need YouTube anymore. Now suddenly YouTube is honeymooning the individual content creator. We want a lot of resources, We care about our creators. We're hiding the dislike counts so creators can feel better. Didn't stick to their guns. And I could rattle off other businesses that have done this, but I'm quite frankly too tired to do so. And I have better things to do than sit here ranting about Newegg. But it'll suffice to say, I pretty much kind of sort of talked about what I wanted to talk about in all of this. But 20 years of me being a Newegg fan, and this is the result. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's this disappointed. To sum it up, I think the GamersNexus is getting played by traditional corporate PR tactics. I think the PR spinner that GamersNexus does the interview with when they visit the Newegg facility is going to dodge accountability and timetables. They'll say they're going to do something, but they will try and avoid having to say when. Because the truth of the matter is, it's the timing of all of this that tells the story. It's what it took to get Newegg to finally acknowledge the problem that tells the story. And so I will not be afraid to say that the Newegg era has ended and some other company should pick up where Newegg left off. We know the business model works. We know that focusing on service to the point where people shop at you instead of larger competition because of your reputation, we know that's a thing. We know that a business can grow through word of mouth to the point where it can start advertising formally because of a customer base that's actually a fan base. We know that what Newegg was worked and can still work today. Who's going to do it? What's the next Newegg? Whoops. Tripped the Amazon speakers by saying that way. So what is the next Newegg? Or does Newegg have what it takes to turn itself around? But I'll tell you right now, short of new ownership, I don't see that happening. You dig around, you see a lot of people talking about the customer service tied to when they got taken over by some of these other companies that have owned them in recent years. I think it might take new ownership to change all of this. But just culture after culture after culture, you know? Culture clash. Sometimes when a business gets bought by another business, who they are kind of gets diluted as the new place sets up shop and demands that certain changes be made. But you know, I actually playing music and being more chill in this discussion, but it just turned out not to be that way. Plus, there's probably going to be people listening to it after the fact, like there often is with these kinds of subjects. And let this be an acid test, so to speak, for whether or not the people that are like, I like your tech content, will actually watch this or listen to it, because if it's a stream instead of a video. Let's see. See what they do. Because I know there's people that go out of their way to go on little disliking sprees of only my streams. Not the videos, the streams. Yeah. Newegg, you have a lot of ground to make up for. If you want to patch your reputation at all, it's going to take a crap ton of work. Because trust is an incredibly hard thing to get back. I can tell you, my next system will not involve, if I can't get everything from somewhere other than Newegg, I'm not building another system. The next system that I build will not have one red penny spent at Newegg. We can revisit this afterwards. But the successor system to Monolith, or should I say 2020's Monolith, will not be a Newegg thing. Nothing. So, GamersNexus, I think you need to learn more about corporations and how they operate and how they do damage control and stuff like that. I don't trust any of what Newegg says they're going to do, and I don't trust them responding with the statements they have, because they should have fixed this a long time ago. It should not take the YouTube techosphere calling you out and poisoning the search results, so to speak, with all this negative publicity. And then it goes to the media, it goes all around the internet. Oh, you're an internet-focused company. Now people look for you on the internet and they see this bad stuff going on. Oh no, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Should have responded earlier. The gist of what I think of the Newegg situation with the way they're behaving is they're not sorry they did it, they're sorry they got caught. So my next system will not come from Newegg. If I can't do that, I'm not going to build one. What do we have here? Someone in chat. It's a shame last time I did shop there was 2012. Since then I've been eBaying OEM PCs. That's the other thing too. The only real reason to build a system anymore is to have it be 100% your own and test your abilities to design a system. It used to be the case that there were lots of proprietary crap floating around, but for the most part, you think about the use scenarios of computers nowadays, it's fine if it's an appliance. I mean, it's almost stupid that I build my own systems myself, but I know exactly what I want, and I get exactly what I want when I build the systems that I build. And of course, the only problem I'm really having with the one I have right now is streaming Elder Scrolls Online close to max with OBS and everything going and all that additional overhead is putting the processor to the point where it doesn't have enough overhead left, and the encoder is having problems as a result of that, among other things. So there's stuttering that exists only because I'm streaming Elder Scrolls Online, not because of me actually playing it at close to max settings. So you have all that going on, and Windows 11, of course. since it's running off a Skylake i7, which still has plenty of horsepower in today's world, just not as much as it did 5 years ago, but not compatible for Windows 11. Although with the way Windows 11 is turning out, maybe I should just wait a little bit longer. Either way, though, maybe 12th gen i7 or something like that. Maybe, don't hate Windows 11. Yeah, well, the way it works with all of this is, quite frankly, the reason why I'm going Intel is for Intel QuickSync, which is great for crunching video. I've noticed that it is far better at encoding at a certain bit rate than NVIDIA NVENC. So I don't want to give that up in order to do that. So it was kind of a toss-up between Intel and AMD, or I could just have a separate machine for doing stuff with crunching video, but I don't really want to be hooking up a separate box just to make YouTube videos. Could buy a tower. It might be cheaper nowadays. Build my PC to play games. A combination of games and, of course, video editing and streaming now is a factor. One of the reasons for going for multi-core nowadays, considering I was getting made fun of because back in the mid-2010s, you only needed 4 cores. Gamers got i5s. Enthusiasts got i7s. You're probably wasting money, even though the i7 6700K was $20, a grand total of $20 more expensive than its regular one or whatever it was. But it wasn't that wild to get an i7 back then versus an i5. But yeah. Anything else? Give it about 30 seconds or so for the chat. Because as it stands, the discussion is pretty much what it is. Gonna get back to work on some of this other stuff involving the TV. Good for encoding. I haven't streamed since I have Ethernet. I should try. AMD is good for encoding. Well, no, that's the thing. I mean, Intel QuickSync versus NVIDIA NVENC. Intel QuickSync versus NVIDIA NVENC. The QuickSync actually makes a more efficient file. NVENC has artifacts all over the place at the same bit rate. So that affects, that affects, of course, the size of the videos going to YouTube, how much space they take up on the storage and stuff like that. And I really don't mind a system that has corporate stuff involved in it, because the reliability of corporate systems and the low overhead costs are part of what I consider when I build something. I don't build some giant lights going everywhere thing where the case isn't really I got to go to bed working at 8 a.m. Well, yikes. I've been there before. When I was doing more IT support professionally, I would often go in on 5 hours sleep, because despite all the problems people have with their computers during the days, I tried to just make the most of my free time and then just try and make up the difference with caffeine. Thanks for stopping by, Mike. So, yeah, likewise, Dan, I know you're someone who's a night owl person like myself, with what you being showing up to these things. Well, we'll see what shows up in the comments, because this whole thing with Newegg is just antithetical to literally everything that I've come to associate Newegg with. Newegg should have zero tolerance for this kind of stuff. The fact that they have these problems tell me somebody is wrong. The wrong person is on the team somewhere. It could be the owners who own the company now that are the problem with this, which is why I floated the crazy idea of, if people are passionate enough, where there's a will, there's a way, raise the capital to buy back Newegg and have it owned by people who will actually appreciate what Newegg spent 20 years building up, as opposed to try and get away with crappy customer service and other screwball stuff like this. I use X264. We enjoy plain black boxes. Maybe we can talk later, lame-o. Oh, no, you meant LMAO. Yeah, I'm borderline too tired to stream. I should have just zonked out in front of my video editor. It's just shy of 420 at the Geek House, so got a minute. I suppose relaxing at 4:20 a.m. is probably as good of an idea as relaxing at 4:20 p.m. if I wasn't night shift. But yeah, I'm supposed to have music and everything for this, but I kind of got into the discussion. So yeah, GamersNexus PR stunt. That's all this is. Newegg needs to be the one that makes the decision to change, and I don't think they can. It took this much negative publicity to get them even talking. Yeah, East Coaster, indeed. it gave, oh, if you're West Coast and you still got some hours to get some sleep, I've gone in on 4 or 5 hours of sleep before. It's not fun. Depending on that much caffeine just to stay awake. Ugh, no, I'll pass on it. But yeah, literally everything I've come to know Newegg for, Newegg is pretty much torn down. Right in time for the 20th anniversary of when I first got into PC hardware and became a Newegg customer. Good job, Newegg. Whatever. Get your crap together. Seriously. You know what? Nah, let's not F-bomb it or something. I don't need to get that unprofessional about this. So, yeah. So if Newegg's not going to get their act together, who's going to pick up where they left off? Because we know that Newegg works. So if Newegg doesn't want to be Newegg, then somebody else is going to have to be Newegg. Or who knows? Maybe we'll see some disgruntled Newegg employees take part in the Great Resignation and try and found a company or get involved with a company to turn into a spiritual successor to Newegg. But the Newegg as it is right now makes no sense and should not exist. It just doesn't fit the brand at all. Matter of fact, this kind of swing towards bad service makes me wonder if somebody is trying to sabotage the company from within. Wouldn't be the first time it's happened in the wonderful world of business. You think individuals try to make things complicated because people are people. Wait till you start talking business crap. What a tangled web we weave. Well, we'll see what happens with this Newegg thing. 421 at the Geek House, and I may just collapse after this. Got videos to make, don't know when I'll be streaming again, but when I do stream game streams, there will be a higher bit rate going out to the ingest servers now that my internet has been upgraded. So I have that to look forward to at least, even if Newegg is basically destroying everything it's built up in the last 2 decades. Until next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.